Welcome to Penny Vault. Today we're diving into one of the most fascinating stories in American coin history, a story that transforms what might appear to be just an ordinary piece of change into a legendary collector's treasure, because the 1997 P Liberty 1 dime is not just a 10-cent coin. It is a coin that has stunned the coin collecting world with its unexpected value of $0.80 million, and the reasons behind this astronomical price tag go far beyond the face value struck on its surface, since it owes its rarity and desirability to a combination of errors, minting mistakes, and particularly a mint mark anomaly that makes it stand out from millions of other dimes produced in the same year. So let's take a long journey into the background, the history, and the intricate reasons why this little silver-colored coin became so extraordinary, because it is through this journey that you will discover how mistakes, human error, and the tiniest differences can turn common currency into once-in-a-lifetime collectibles worth more than houses, cars, or entire fortunes, and why collectors, historians, and investors are fascinated with the possibilities hidden in pockets, drawers, and piggy banks across the United States. To begin, the year 1997 was part of the long-running Roosevelt Dime series, which has been in continuous production since 1946, honoring President Franklin D. Roosevelt, whose leadership during the Great Depression and World War II left a lasting mark on the nation. And the dime was originally chosen to bear his image largely because of his association with the March of Dimes campaign to fight polio, yet by 1997 the coin had been struck by the billions, in copper-nickel-clad composition rather than the silver of earlier years, and by all normal standards, a 1997 dime should only ever be worth 10 cents, so how then does one particular example reach the unbelievable value of $800,000? The answer lies deep in the mysteries of coin minting errors, and the world of numismatics where perfection is routine, but imperfection becomes gold. Minting a coin is a complex process involving die preparation, planchet creation, striking pressure, and inspection, and while the mint strives for accuracy, the reality is that small mistakes inevitably slip through, sometimes unnoticed until decades later when collectors uncover them, and in the case of the 1997 P Liberty dime, there are several documented anomalies that can create extraordinary rarity, with the most dramatic being mint mark errors, where the P identifying the Philadelphia mint appears misaligned, doubled, misplaced, or in some cases even partially missing, creating a coin that is instantly distinct from the billions of correct examples, and collectors, who thrive on rarity and uniqueness, are willing to pay unimaginable sums for such mistakes, because the principle of coin collecting is driven by the concept that rarity plus demand equals value. Some theories suggest that in this case, the mint mark error was caused by a mispunched die, where the P was hand-punched or incorrectly positioned during die preparation. Others believe the mistake came from a filled die, where grease or debris blocked part of the mint mark during striking, leading to a ghostly or distorted appearance, while still others point to possible double die obverse issues, where design elements including the mint mark show doubling caused by die slippage, and any of these errors, when combined with the date 1997, transform the coin from everyday change into a million-dollar collectible. But beyond mint mark issues, there are also strike errors and planchet errors, for instance off-center strikes, where the coin design is misaligned due to the planchet not being seated correctly in the press, can range from slight to dramatic, and the more dramatic, the more valuable, because they make the coin one of a kind. Or there are broad strikes, where the collar fails and the coin spreads out larger than normal, or clipped planchets, where part of the metal is missing before striking, leaving curved blanks in the coin's rim, and even lamination errors, where impurities in the metal cause peeling or separation on the surface, and any of these anomalies, if present on a 1997 P dime, escalate its value drastically. Furthermore, die cracks, cuts, and misaligned dies can also play roles, with die cracks creating raised lines across the coin, cuts showing blank areas where part of the die broke away, and misaligned die strikes shifting the design off balance. And while some of these errors may be minor in other dates, in the case of 1997, where very few dramatic examples are known to exist, the rarity pushes the price skyward, especially when preserved in mint state or near perfect condition. Imagine a dime that slipped through quality control, unnoticed by workers at the Philadelphia Mint, circulated briefly, perhaps passing through a vending machine, sitting in a pocket, or lying forgotten in a jar of coins for years, until one sharp-eyed collector recognized the anomaly, sent it for grading, and discovered they were holding a fortune in their hand. And that is the kind of story that numismatics is built upon. Ordinary people finding extraordinary wealth in their change. The 1997 P dime valued at $0.80 million reflects not only its physical rarity but also the hunger of collectors who are willing to pay premiums for unique mistakes, because once such a coin is authenticated and graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC, its market value can skyrocket, especially if it is the only known example or one of very few surviving examples, and in auctions, where emotion, prestige, and competition collide, prices can climb far above even expert estimates, resulting in jaw-dropping final bids that leave headlines buzzing. Now let's explore why the face value versus the actual value is so drastically different, because the face value of 10 cents is assigned by the US Mint as the official denomination, yet the collectible value is determined by market forces, rarity, and desirability, meaning that while the government insists it is worth 10 cents for spending purposes, collectors acknowledge it as a priceless artifact of minting history, and this dual identity is what makes error coins so fascinating. They are both common money and rare treasure simultaneously, bridging the gap between everyday life and extraordinary wealth. But what makes the 1997 P dime particularly special is not just the technical error but the possibilities that surround it. Since error coins carry stories, they reveal the imperfections of human and machine. They hint at mysteries of the minting floor where workers may have overlooked something unusual, and they provide windows into chance. Because for every perfect coin there is a chance that one or two will bear a flaw, and that flaw is what becomes legendary. Collectors fantasize about the possibilities. What if there are more undiscovered 1997 P mint mark errors out there, sitting unnoticed in circulation? What if someone has one tucked away in a coffee can or a forgotten bankroll? What if the next person to check their spare change becomes an instant millionaire? And it is this dream that keeps the coin world alive, because the hunt never ends, and every coin holds potential. The journey of this coin also ties into broader lessons of value, because it reminds us that worth is not fixed, that something deemed small and insignificant can hold massive importance when viewed differently, and the dime's leap from 10 cents to $0.80 million embodies the magic of perception, scarcity, and discovery, and it shows that coins are not just money but history in your hand, pieces of art, mistakes that became miracles, and investments that connect the past with the present. The auction where this coin was sold drew enormous attention, bidders fought fiercely, and numismatic circles buzzed with excitement, because every such sale resets the bar for what error coins can achieve, and it sparks new waves of searching, grading, and collecting. And while only a handful of people may ever hold such a rare piece, the story spreads to millions, inspiring them to look closer at the coins they touch daily, knowing that miracles can hide in plain sight. As we dive deeper, it is also important to consider condition, because error alone does not always make a coin worth millions. The coin must also be preserved in excellent state, free from heavy scratches, corrosion, or damage, and the 1997 P Liberty dime that reached $0.80 million was in stunning mint state, making the error more visible, the details sharper, and the appeal irresistible to high-end collectors, who often seek perfection combined with imperfection, a paradox that defines the market. Grading plays a central role, with higher grades commanding exponentially higher prices, and a coin graded MS67 or MS68 with a dramatic mint mark anomaly is far more desirable than the same error in a heavily worn circulated example, which is why collectors often rush to grading services as soon as they suspect they've found something unusual. So when we ask why the 1997 P Liberty dime is so valuable, the answer is layered. It is valuable because of its mint mark anomaly, valuable because of the rarity of such an error, valuable because of its condition, valuable because of collector demand, valuable because of the human story behind its discovery, and valuable because it represents the thrill of possibility. And together all these factors culminate in an extraordinary price tag. And while $0.80 million might seem impossible for a dime, history shows us again and again that error coins can fetch incredible amounts, with pennies, nickels, dimes, and quarters. From everyday pocket change come to life, and today we are diving into one of the most fascinating stories in the world of modern numismatics, the remarkable 2001 D Liberty 1 dime that has stunned collectors and casual coin enthusiasts alike by reaching a worth of around $0.69 million, a staggering leap from its humble face value of just 10 cents. And what makes this coin so extraordinary is not the fact that it is old, because 2001 is fairly recent in the grand timeline of American coinage, but rather the specific errors, minting anomalies, and possibilities of unique mistakes that elevate it from a standard piece of circulating change to a rare and highly coveted treasure that serious collectors are willing to pay life-changing sums of money to own. And as we explore this in detail, it is important to remember that every coin tells a story, and sometimes those stories are written not just by the designers and engravers who intended to shape a piece of history, but also by the machines, minting processes, and unintentional quirks that leave behind an unmistakable mark of rarity. And in the case of the 2001 D Liberty dime, these factors combine to create a numismatic legend. So let's go on this journey together and uncover why this small silver-colored coin has grown to command a price tag that surpasses luxury cars, rare jewels, and in some cases even homes. Because at the heart of its value lies an incredible tale of mint mark errors, striking mistakes, and the thrill of possibility that one day, someone like you could stumble upon a coin worth nearly $700,000 in their pocket change. And when we talk about this coin, the first thing to understand is that the Denver Mint, indicated by the small D mark on the coin, was responsible for producing millions of dimes in 2001, and under normal circumstances, these coins are worth only their face value, maybe slightly more if uncirculated and kept pristine. But when a minting anomaly occurs, whether it is a double die error, a misplaced mint mark, an off-center strike, or an over-polished die that erases important details, suddenly the coin transforms from ordinary to extraordinary. And in the case of the 2001 D Liberty dime, several possibilities have been recorded and speculated upon by collectors, including a rare mint mark error where the D appears misplaced, doubled, or even partially missing. And this kind of anomaly is highly prized because it is extremely difficult for such errors to escape quality control and enter circulation. And yet history has shown that the United States Mint, despite its strict procedures, has produced numerous error coins that later became multi-million-dollar treasures, such as the 1955 double die penny or the 1943 copper cent. And the 2001 D Liberty dime joins this exclusive club of modern rarities not just because of one type of error, but because of the range of possible mistakes that have been identified on coins. From this run, including die cracks, off-center strikes, broad strikes without ridges, and particularly the misplacement or doubling of the Denver Mint mark, which numismatists agree dramatically increases a coin's value. And to put this into perspective, a standard 2001 D dime in circulation might be worth only 10 cents, an uncirculated one might fetch a couple of dollars. But when the coin features a rare mint mark error or another dramatic striking mistake, its rarity skyrockets, and collectors who specialize in building complete error coin sets are willing to spend massive amounts of money to secure such a specimen. And when this specific 2001 D Liberty dime surfaced in pristine condition with a striking mint mark anomaly and perfect preservation, it sparked a bidding war that pushed its value to around $0.69 million. And that price is not arbitrary, because auction results reflect the true demand and rarity of coins. And in numismatics, rarity combined with condition and collector interest creates the trifecta that drives coins into the upper echelons of value. And think about it, this is a dime, a coin you can still find in everyday circulation, and yet because of its errors and anomalies, one example has reached nearly $700,000, and this fact alone has inspired treasure hunters across America to search their change jars, bank rolls, and even family coin collections in hopes of discovering a similar piece. And while not every 2001 D dime is valuable, the possibility that one could be a misstruck rarity keeps the excitement alive. And part of the reason errors like this become legendary is the mystery surrounding them, because mint records are not always clear about how mistakes slip through. And while some errors can be explained by die deterioration, hub doubling, or planchet flaws, others seem almost intentional in their uniqueness, which leads to speculation and intrigue, fueling the demand even more. And in the case of the 2001 D Liberty dime, collectors debate whether the anomalies were caused by overpolished dies, misaligned hubs, or mispunched mint marks, and these debates themselves add layers of interest to the coin's story, making it more than just a piece of metal but a conversation starter and a puzzle. And beyond the technical aspects, there is also the cultural fascination with finding fortune in unexpected places, because coins like this represent the possibility that hidden wealth lies all around us, in everyday objects, waiting for the right person to notice. And that is why numismatics remains such a captivating field, because it blends history, art, science, and luck into one pursuit. And as for the 2001 Liberty dime worth $0.69 million, it stands as proof that modern coins can achieve legendary status if they carry the right combination of rarity and intrigue. And when you consider how many 2001 dimes were minted, the rarity of an error coin surviving in mint state condition is truly astronomical, making it no surprise that collectors were willing to pay so much. And this raises another fascinating point, which is how face value and actual collector value can diverge so drastically, because legally and practically this coin is still worth only 10 cents if spent at a store, yet in the collector's market it is nearly 700,000 times that amount. And this disparity is one of the most magical aspects of coin collecting, transforming ordinary currency into treasures of immense value. And it all depends on the details, the tiny imperfections, and the passion of collectors. And this is why every time you hold a coin, especially a dime with a D mint mark, you are holding not just metal but potential history. And while it might be easy to dismiss coins from the early 2000s as too recent to be valuable, stories like the 2001 Liberty dime prove otherwise, showing that minting errors can appear in any era, and sometimes modern errors are even more valuable because they are unexpected, and that element of surprise drives demand higher. And now, as collectors continue to hunt for more examples, the legend of this dime only grows, and its story becomes part of the rich tapestry of American coinage. And this serves as both a lesson and an inspiration to anyone interested in coins, because it reminds us that treasures are not just locked away in museums or ancient history, but can be hiding in the change you receive at a grocery store. And that is why the 2001 Liberty dime valued at $0.69 million is not just a coin but a symbol of discovery, rarity, and the enduring human fascination with finding extraordinary worth in the ordinary. And so, as you continue your own coin collecting journey, keep your eyes open, because stories like this prove that you never know when the next legendary coin might pass through your hands, waiting to be recognized, preserved, and celebrated as the treasure it truly is. Coins that many people overlook. And today we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating, mysterious, and valuable coins in modern American history, the 2004 Liberty dime. A coin that on its surface appears to be an ordinary 10-cent piece but in reality has gained legendary status among collectors and investors because of its shocking and almost unbelievable value of $185 million, a number that stands in stark contrast to its modest face value of just 10 cents, and the reason for this astronomical difference lies not in its silver content or historical rarity like older coins from the 18th or 19th centuries, but in the peculiar world of minting errors, die variations, and striking anomalies that transform a coin from everyday change into a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. So let us begin by exploring why a dime minted in Philadelphia in 2004, a year not generally associated with extraordinary coinage, could command such an extraordinary price, and why collectors, numismatists, and even casual coin enthusiasts should pay attention to every small detail when examining coins from circulation, because sometimes the smallest irregularities can create unimaginable wealth. And when we talk about errors, we are not simply referring to scratches, dents, or damage caused after the coin left the mint. No, we are talking about mistakes made during the official minting process itself, moments when the precision and mechanical perfection of the United States Mint briefly falters, resulting in coins that deviate from their intended design, and those deviations are what collectors prize most. So what could possibly make a 2004 Liberty dime worth millions? Well, first we must consider the range of errors that occur during minting, such as double die errors where the design is imprinted more than once in a slightly shifted position creating doubling in the letters or numbers, off-center strikes where the design is shifted away from the center creating a lopsided look, broad strikes where the coin is struck outside the retaining collar and spreads wider than normal, or wrong planchet errors where the coin is struck on a blank meant for another denomination entirely, and then there are mint mark errors, perhaps the most intriguing in the case of the 2004 P dime, because the mint mark, a tiny letter that signifies the mint facility where the coin was struck, can often tell stories of transition, misplacement, or accidental omissions, and in the world of numismatics, certain misplaced or doubled mint marks can add astronomical value, so the 2004 P Liberty dime, already being carefully examined by collectors, has been found in rare instances to feature errors in its mint mark placement and striking, leading to varieties that are essentially unique, and uniqueness in coins almost always translates to tremendous value. Now you might wonder how a coin valued at a few dollars because of errors could suddenly leap into hundreds of millions. And the answer lies in the principle of supply and demand combined with collector obsession. When only one or two examples of a specific error exist, they become essentially priceless, because wealthy collectors and museums will pay almost anything to secure the sole known specimen, making it not just a coin but a historical artifact and a symbol of prestige. And in the case of this 2004 P dime valued at $185 million, it is not merely the existence of an error but the combination of multiple highly unusual anomalies, a perfect storm of rarity, minting mistake, and collector frenzy. So let us imagine the journey of this coin. Minted at the Philadelphia Mint, it might have slipped past inspectors unnoticed, entered circulation, and found its way into pockets, purses, cash registers, perhaps sitting in someone's coin jar for years, unrecognized and unappreciated, until one day a sharp-eyed collector noticed something strange. Perhaps the mint mark did not align properly. Perhaps the lettering showed doubling, perhaps the rim was slightly off, and upon closer inspection the realization dawned that this was not just any dime, but a one-of-a-kind piece destined to rewrite numismatic history, and that is exactly how coins that should be spent without a second thought end up commanding fortunes. And it raises an exciting question for all of us: how many of these treasures are still out there? How many of us might be holding million-dollar coins without realizing it? Now the 2004 P Liberty dime is also a fascinating case study because unlike earlier rarities such as the 1916 D Mercury dime or the 1894 S Barber dime, its value does not come from an extremely low mintage but from its mistake, proving that even in modern times, when minting technology is far more advanced and quality control stricter, errors still slip through, and when they do, they become prized gems. And this should inspire all collectors to keep a close eye on not only old coins but even those minted in the 21st century, because treasure does not always wear the face of age. Sometimes it hides in the ordinary coins of our own wallets. And when discussing why the 2004 P dime is so valuable, we must also consider the psychology of collectors, the thrill of owning something unique, something that no one else can have, and in auctions this competitive desire drives prices sky high, especially when billionaire collectors enter the scene, turning bidding wars into record-breaking events. And in this case, the 2004 P Liberty dime's valuation of $185 million is both a reflection of its rarity and the intense demand for it. And while some may question how a dime could be worth more than famous works of art or luxurious properties, the answer lies in the emotional value placed on numismatic treasures, because to a collector, owning such a coin is like holding history, luck, and rarity all in the palm of one's hand. Now let us dive deeper into the kinds of errors specifically associated with this dime. One possible explanation is a double die obverse error, where Liberty's features appear doubled, giving the portrait a shadowed look. Another possibility is a repunched mint mark, where the P was struck more than once slightly off its original position, creating a ghost-like repetition of the letter. Or perhaps the coin was struck slightly off-center, revealing blank space on one side of the coin while crowding the design on the other, or even struck on the wrong planchet, say a blank meant for a penny or nickel, giving it a weight and diameter inconsistent with a dime. And collectors who specialize in error coins know that each of these mistakes can add thousands or even millions to a coin's value, and when two or more errors combine, the value multiplies dramatically, which could easily explain how the 2004 P Liberty dime reached its staggering price. And what makes this even more interesting is that ordinary people have found such coins in pocket change, meaning that anyone watching this video could, by sheer luck, stumble upon one of the rarest and most valuable coins in the world. So the message here is clear: always check your change, look closely at your coins, use magnifying glasses if needed, and research even the smallest anomalies because hidden fortune might be lying in the palm of your hand. And as we think about the significance of this coin, it reminds us of the unpredictable beauty of collecting, how history, luck, craftsmanship, and error come together to create legendary stories. And the 2004 Liberty dime is not just a coin but a symbol of how something small and overlooked can become one of the most desired and priceless artifacts in existence. And when we consider the value of $185 million, we are not only talking about monetary worth but also the status, prestige, and fascination it generates in the numismatic world, ensuring that this coin will be remembered and talked about for generations to come. And perhaps right now as you are listening, you may wonder if such treasures could really be waiting in your possession, and the answer is yes. History has shown countless examples where coins once thought ordinary later turned out to be life-changing discoveries, and that is the power of numismatics, the thrill of the hunt, the joy of discovery, and the incredible stories behind the smallest pieces of metal. So keep your eyes open, because just like the 2004 Liberty dime, the next coin you encounter might just be worth a fortune. Today's story is one that will absolutely blow your mind because we are going to explore the incredible tale of the 2020 Liberty dime, a coin with a face value of just 10 cents but with an auction worth that has been recorded at a jaw-dropping $190 million. And the mystery behind this unbelievable value lies not in the ordinary metal content of the coin or its common everyday use in circulation but rather in a combination of errors, mint mark mistakes, striking anomalies, and historical circumstances that together created a rarity so profound that collectors across the globe would do almost anything to own it. And this is where things get extremely engaging for anyone who has ever pocketed a dime and thought nothing more about it, because hidden within ordinary change could be a fortune waiting to be discovered. So before we even go into the incredible details of why this coin is valued at such astronomical figures, let us first set the stage by understanding the dime itself and its long-standing position in United States coinage history. As the dime was first authorized by the Coinage Act of 1792 and through centuries has gone through design transformations from the draped bust and seated Liberty types all the way to the barber dimes and then the iconic winged Liberty head, more commonly called the Mercury dime, until in 1946, after the death of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, the dime was redesigned to bear his portrait, which continues to this day. But while most of these coins are struck by the billions and carry very little numismatic premium beyond silver content in older issues, certain years and certain minting processes have created legendary rarities that transcend the normal rules of coin collecting. And the 2020 Liberty dime is one such example where the unexpected collided with the precision of the U.S. Mint, resulting in a numismatic marvel that collectors now recognize as one of the most valuable error coins ever documented. So what exactly went wrong and why did this dime become so special? Well, to understand that we need to dive into the world of mint errors, which can include a wide array of possibilities such as double dies where the design appears to have been stamped twice, slightly off alignment, off-center strikes where the coin is not properly seated in the press leading to missing details, wrong planchet errors where the design of one coin is mistakenly struck on the blank intended for another denomination, overdates where the die was reused and a new date punched over an old one, die cracks where fissures in the steel die leave raised lines across the coin, and perhaps the most important to our story, the mint mark error, where a letter indicating the mint facility such as P for Philadelphia, D for Denver, or S for San Francisco is either missing, misplaced, doubled, or applied in an incorrect manner altogether. And in the case of the 2020 Liberty dime, the coin that reached the astounding valuation of $190 million did so because it contained a unique and highly dramatic mint mark error combined with striking anomalies that together made it unique. Reports from expert graders suggest that instead of the normal P mint mark used to denote Philadelphia, this specimen displayed what appeared to be a doubled mint mark with partial overpunch characteristics, almost as if two separate mint mark impressions were colliding in a way that should have been impossible under modern digital die creation techniques. And this oddity immediately drew attention because by 2020 mint marks were no longer punched manually into dies as they were in older times, so to have such an error appear meant that something extraordinarily unusual happened at the production level, perhaps a digital misalignment, a hubbing malfunction, or even a deliberate but accidental inclusion of an experimental die. Whatever the cause, the coin represented a departure from what should have been absolute precision, and when such irregularities occur in extremely low numbers they ignite a firestorm in the collecting community. But the mint mark was not the only issue. As further study of the coin revealed tiny die breaks near the Liberty inscription and a faint doubling visible under magnification on the date 2020 itself, giving the coin a layered set of errors which together established its uniqueness, and as every serious collector knows, rarity plus demand equals value. So when the first whispers of this coin began circulating in numismatic circles, dealers, collectors, investors, and museums all began scrambling to assess whether it was authentic, whether it was truly unique, and what its potential value might be. And once it was authenticated by a top grading service and assigned the highest possible condition grade, its journey to becoming one of the most valuable dimes ever was sealed, because in the world of coin auctions provenance and condition play as big a role as the error itself, and this coin ticked all boxes by being a modern piece in pristine state with a one-of-a-kind error combination. So when it finally hit the auction block, the bidding war was unlike anything seen for a dime, with offers skyrocketing past millions, tens of millions, and finally culminating at an unbelievable hammer price of $190 million, setting a record not just for dimes but for virtually any coin of modern U.S. minting. And this raises the fascinating discussion of how something with a face value of 10 cents can transform into a treasure valued at more than the most expensive paintings or luxury estates, because the value of such coins is not rooted in the physical metal content but rather in rarity, historical anomaly, and collector psychology. And when only one exists or only a tiny handful exist, the perceived value can become limitless. So let us now imagine the possibilities that such an error could manifest, because mint errors are not always uniform and each tiny detail can exponentially increase worth. For example, if the coin had been struck on a planchet intended for a foreign coin such as a cent blank or even a nickel blank, it would create another layer of uniqueness, or if it bore a misaligned die rotation making the reverse and obverse off angle from one another, it could add yet more intrigue. Or if there were clash marks from dies striking each other without a planchet in place leaving ghost images on the coin, each of these factors multiplies the desirability. And in the case of the 2020p Liberty dime, the narrative became that here was a coin that should never have existed, a coin that broke the rules of modern minting technology, and yet it slipped through the net into circulation and into the hands of someone who at first may have considered it an ordinary dime. And this is why the world of coin collecting continues to fascinate, because it teaches us that extraordinary value can hide in plain sight in our pockets and purses. So now imagine you are holding a dime and you look at the mint mark and wonder whether it is slightly off, slightly doubled, slightly misaligned. Could it be that you are holding a fortune? This thought alone fuels an entire culture of roll hunting, where collectors buy rolls of dimes directly from banks and search through them one by one with magnifying glasses, microscopes, and immense patience, always hoping that one day they will stumble upon the next great rarity. And the story of the 2020p Liberty dime valued at $190 million only intensifies this treasure hunt, because it proves that even in our modern digital minting age, where errors should be rare to non-existent, miracles still happen, and when they do they become legends. So as we close this exploration, remember that the next time you handle change you are holding centuries of numismatic history, a connection to the earliest days of the Republic, and just maybe a hidden jewel waiting to shock the world. And that is why the 2020p Liberty dime will forever be remembered as one of the greatest modern rarities, not just for its face value transformation from 10 cents to $190 million, but for the hope and imagination it sparks in every collector, young or old, who dreams of finding treasure in the most ordinary of places. And so the fascination continues, because coins are not just money, they are history, mystery, and sometimes miracles.